Hey trainers, I just won Pokemon Auto Chess Tour number 32, and I thought it'd be useful to walk through my decision making. If you're newer to the game, or if you're lost in the mid-game, this video is for you. I'll be giving post-commentary on key decisions and how I prepared for the tournament. I know this game is very confusing for a lot of newer players, because there's so much to do, so much to learn about, and I want to help break down some of these processes to make the game more accessible for everybody. So, let's get into it. Alright, so let's get into the first part, which is preparation. So if you're a new player, the first thing you have to accept is that the game is not very well balanced. And in order for you to gain an advantage, you have to exploit the imbalances in the game and understand them very well. So this is the tier list I came up with for the item components and some of the synergies that I would like to play in the tournament. And this basically means I'm not looking to play mostly any other synergy in the tournament. Now, this doesn't include cross synergy. So when I say Ghost, you can often cross synergy this with something like Fire or Light. If I say Fairy, you're often going to play it with Normal. If I say Floral, you're often going to play it with Grass. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to play a second synergy. It just means that these are the ones that are core. And Artificial is often paired with Electric, for example. In terms of the components, this is more for like a first component pick, like a blind pick. Oftentimes, you're going to pick the component that unbricks you or crafts a good item. Now, I didn't put the item tier list on, but you'll see it in the video. Some of the items I prioritize, I think are the best, are Rocky Helmet, Max Revive, and like Razor Fang, Loaded Dice. So these are some of the best items in the game, and you'll see that throughout the video how I itemize, so I'll explain that more in depth later. But yeah, these are the synergies, like what I prioritized during the tournament. These were determined based on my own testing. I played lots and lots of games, and I determined that these are the ones that I do best in. These don't necessarily mean they're the most powerful, but they're, based on my testing, are the most powerful to me. Alright, so let's jump straight into the game number 1. And before the game even starts, I'm already looking at everyone's elo. Elo's not that important, but if you know other people's styles, that can help you play around them. For me, it's important to understand both yourself and your opponent, but first yourself. So if you don't know what your own board is doing, or what you're doing, you have no game plan, then you're gonna lose. It's like, have you ever read Art of War? If you understand your opponent, you understand yourself, then you can master the battle, right? So, I'm understanding that my opponents, most likely, I know at lower elos, people play very aggressively still. It's not like they haven't dropped the aggression, but they may be over-aggressed. They don't know when to stop aggressing. They don't know how to make a strong endgame board. They don't know what boards beat what boards, and what synergies beat what synergies, and what, counter tech and items beat each other. So I can exploit that to maybe get an advantage in the late game, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play super secure, though, because I'm looking to play like Fairy or Floral. I wanted to really secure, easy to play synergies, especially because I'm warming up for today. And we'll see if we can, I can get that type of game. And I'm going to pick the most secure component, which is Magnet. We saw the component tier list earlier that Magnet is one of the items I can craft and unbrick as easy as possible. And again, unbricking is the core idea. Now, what I do nowadays, or I started doing, is I bound the button to look at other people's boards to Z and X so I can scout faster. During this tournament, I haven't started doing that yet, but I like to scout everybody. See, I'm clicking through everybody's screen right now. I like to see what everyone has and what all their components are, so I can have a gauge of what's going on. Because, for example, I see that nobody has a lot of heart, so that means that Rocky Helmet is not on the table for a lot of players. That means that critical hits are going to be very strong. And so I'm deciding here between taking up my own defensive core, between heart, or taking up black glasses here. Now, the thing is, if you think about it like this, you only need 2 heart scales throughout the entire game, and you only need one max revive throughout the entire game to get a good defensive core. whereas you need a lot of offensive components, but the offensive components are more common typically. Here's the thing. You also gotta take into account like other people like are gonna pick the component that they don't have either. So if they don't have a lot of like defensive components, they're gonna pick up the defensive components from the carousel. Then other thing you have to take into account is that your goal when deciding items is to typically unbrick yourself or leave yourself as many options as possible. And this applies to the game itself too. You will want to make your bench, tailor your bench so that you have more options. You want to play in a way where you have more options, and you want to pick components where you can leave yourself more options to play the game with. Now, in order to leave yourself with as few bricks as possible at the end of the game, you actually need more bricks in the middle of the game. Now, that makes almost no intuitive sense, but here, I'll give you an example. So I want a Rocky helmet in almost every comp. But in order to get a Rocky helmet, I need 2 heart components. If I have 3 heart components, the 3rd heart component will become a brick. Because I do not necessarily need heart unless I'm playing like a heart type of comp, such as fairy, which you might need a fairy stone. But that applies to every item. And magnet is a good example of an item that has many things that can lean towards unbricking. That is why I prioritize magnet and black glasses, because there's a lot of critical hit sets. And the worst case scenario, you can craft the wonder box, which is a pretty good item. But in terms of item quality, right now, the items that lend towards the most sets are are magnet and black glasses and charcoal and a couple. So, but the problem is those are not the defensive items. Ice lends towards the 2 best items in the game, loaded dice and max revive. But oftentimes you do not want to pick up ice, because if you pick up ice, then you're playing for a high variance line. This is a first game scenario. I'm not going to play for a high variance line in a first game scenario. So that's why, that's like kind of how I think about itemization. And that's why I pick up like black glasses and magnets early on as much as possible. Stuck with a fossil. No way, man. Because if I get stuck with a fossil here, none of these components can do well, and I don't want to be forced to pick a comp that I don't want to play. So I'm just like gonna grab the closest component, which is ice. Now ice is not a great component, but I do not want fossil. So I'm gonna leave someone else stuck with the fossil here. The thing is, no one's stuck with the fossil here because I didn't realize this, but it's a 7-person lobby. So you actually don't it's not an 8-person lobby. Usually it's an 8-person lobby, and someone's stuck with the fossil when there's a 2 fossil component wheel. And I just usually grab the first item when I see that. I don't take the risk, because like it's way too risky. Getting stuck with the fossil early on is gonna be so drastically bad. Now here, I have 2 upgrades, and I have like a lot of components. I'm thinking about what I want to do with my components. I'm going for that. I'm thinking about making that loaded dice. I should make that loaded dice. Yep, I do. And make the razor claw already. The razor claw lets you build towards a lot of critical hit items. Now, if I were to wait, I could go into razor fang. But the reason I do this is because I have this spoon right here, and this spoon can only be unbricked via a magnet. If I save my magnet for a razor fang, then I can never make it upgrade. So then I won't be able to unbrick the spoon for an AP item. Or AD item. And I might have an AD set right now. So there's no... And AD is better than AP in this meta. So there's no reason to, assume the spoon is going to anything but an upgrade. So I'm going to just play on, the set and play on, the fact that I'm going to go get an upgrade for this set. Completing my items. Now, I'm looking... I get really lucky here. I got a bunch of fairies. And I'm like, wow. This is going to be an easy, clean fairy game, right? I pick up the seed, which unbricks my final, my opponent. And now I have a defensive core and an offensive core, which is very good in the early game. I have fairies in. I'm ready to play vertical fairy. And this is very clean from here. All I do is keep my bench, really greedy like I usually do to preserve my options. But I just collect fairies. I scout. I see that I lose to some boards, but and I lose to some boards. I don't really worry about that too much because I know my setup is gonna be really strong later. And these items that people are putting on are really strong early game and really weak late game. I don't mind if people are crafting stuff like Stardust and Muscle Band, they're really strong early game, but they're really weak late game. So I'm not too big at too fussed about losing and stuff. I'm just keeping my economy, keeping my fairies, and keeping my flexibility on all the units I can possibly grab. So Yeah, I'm trying to keep this like like relatively shuffling through here. So we get to Gyarados. I put 3 fairies in, and then I'm looking for my portal. I'm trying to play fairy in this case because I have a bunch of fairies already in my my board. So I get into a fairy portal. We make it through. If I didn't get the fairy portal, I probably would have locked in potentially the double ghost portal because it's the next meta thing to do. But I did end up getting it, and I pick up Feeny. Now, first important decision point: do I put the items on Feeny or do I hold the items? Now, I end up holding the items because I see the 2 spoons can be made into specs, and I know Feeny is good with AP. So I want to build my Feeny AP so I can build my legendary, potentially AD. So I'm going to hold the items and just leave it on Amaro and greed out the entire game. Because also their reason is because this lobby is an early lobby. They're good. They're not that good. And I feel like if I have a strong like late game presence, especially with 83 health at this stage in the game, I can basically guarantee myself a top 4 finish. And so now I get to this point, and I'm thinking about picking up the fairy units because it comes with a water and lets me build towards my AP unit, like maybe a Specs Aqua combo, for example. But now I see, oh, I actually, if I get this, I complete my Fang item, and this Fang is gonna be super nice on endgame unit like Xerneas, like Enamorous, any of the late game fairies that are like 3 range, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing this right. So now at this point, I have Fairy 6. I'm pretty secure. Normally play normal Fairy, but in this case, I feel like the Vertical Fairy is completely fine, especially because Tapu Fini is a really strong unit, and he heals all my fairies, so I don't like have the health from that. And it's an early lobby, so I don't have to be like super like end capping my board. I try to go for the heart component. The reason for this is because if I end up winning later, which I don't, but if I do end up winning later, then I don't want to be stuck with a fossil component and not have a fairy stone to craft it into. But because I don't get that, I get the aqua. And I actually make a mistake here. And you'll see me make a mistake here. I slam the Soldew. Now, the Soldew is a bad slam here. And the reason why the Soldew is a bad slam is because the Choice Specs is the better slam. The reason why Choice Specs is the better slam is because if I slam Soldew, and this is the same reason I was talking about earlier, if I slam Soldew, what happens is the next component, if I get an aqua, will brick me. Whereas if I slam Choice Specs, then the next one, if I get a spoon or an aqua, both of which will craft me towards an AP set. And I actually get punished for it by that. So you want to leave your options open to unbrick yourself with your components. Again, I was talking about that earlier, and it's funny because it comes in the first game, I actually misplay. I craft the Soldew, it's a stronger item, but it's a misplay. Because then I get stuck with a bad component. Like here, I get stuck with a charcoal. And if I had my aqua, I could have made a deep sea tooth. And I would have deep sea tooth specs. And that would have been much stronger than Pokenomicon because the item sucks. If you don't know how what items are good or bad, I think it's like basically on you to test combinations, and like you can just look up numbers and stuff. But general gist is that like you see these 3 crit items I have on the Maro. This is pretty much the best item set right now in this patch. If you have like a 21 or like it's like what 23 attack unit, I did some math on it. It's not strong on the Maro. Technically, a red orb would be stronger than like the Razor Claw right now. If I had a red orb or a Razor Claw, I'd be stronger, but that's only temporarily. If once you get to the late game, the multiplicative scaling on the higher attack unit will make this set way stronger for like a mob. I was gonna say a mob, a Pokemon like Enamorous or Xerneas, or like a high attack Pokemon. Now for Xerneas in particular, instead of Razor Claw, you might want the power of the Reaper Claw because its ability scales off of AP, but that's a different story. But yeah, I think the best for Xerneas would be like Dice, Razor Fang, and Reaper Claw. But with this, I can build a pretty generic fairy that has these 3 items, and I prefer a 3 range, and so I'm gonna I make it all the way over here, and I'm vertical fairy. We're just just not like nothing's too special. I take the fairy portal, and I go over here, and then I hit a Namorous, which I'm pretty happy about, because it's a 3-range attacker, and I know from this position, I am secure. I'll make it to the end, and I'll probably, like, you know, be able to top 4 pretty easily from this spot. The power of Feeny gets exponentially stronger in the endgame, because in this endgame, Feeny heals all 8 of my units that are all fairies, and gives them all mana, like PP, and like it does like all this stuff, you know. And you see the decision I made earlier that got punished. If I had a Specs right now, I would have Specs, potentially Specs Soldu, and you know, Aqua. That would be like the Giga like Bis items for casters. But because I didn't pick up the I didn't craft the Specs earlier, I'm stuck with a Pokénomicon. So I'm like, man. Well, I didn't think about it during the game, but like, you know, I did mess up here, and it was obvious why I messed up. So, you see me making brick, you know, component bricking, this, you know, bad decisions as well. But I end up picking up a Deep Sea Tooth, which completes my mana set. So this is pretty good anyway. You know, these are 3 mana items that like go pretty much infinite. And now I'm sitting here like I put some normal units in to cap out my board a little bit higher, so it's very normal psychic, and that's pretty much it. Now we're done. Now all we have to do is search for units. So I'm searching for Blissey, play out, you know, search for units, and just play this vertical comp. And I don't have to do, like, too much. This board, like, Fairy kind of plays for itself, so you don't have to do too much scouting. I do scout a little bit, and I move around and stuff. You can see me, like, moving to the left. In terms of fights, like, you want to be, like, depending on what you want to either match them or go opposite of them. If you want to kill them fast, you want to match them. If you want to, like, kill them slow, or you have a slower scaling comp, you want to go apart from them. And now I level up max, and I put the Porygon in, so I can get normal 5, and then my board's pretty capped out, so I end up winning the lobby, which is pretty cool. So I'm like, wow, getting off, you know, going off the first start, like, first place, right? I'm back with game number 2 here, and before we go into game number 2, I want to tell you guys a funny story. So I've only played in 3 of the pack tournaments. In the first 2, I got round 1. The first one, I was just not very experienced. The second one had a really good setup, but I got disconnected, and I was playing like Psychic Smeargle, and it was really difficult to navigate. And the aggression was really difficult. I wasn't that good at like a lot of different comps. I was mainly a Psychic 1-trick at that point. But, you know, this tournament had the most prep, and I was super ready to, like, basically play for the win. I had gathered a lot of information. I knew I trusted my plans, and I knew exactly what I was going to do to, you know, like, I envisioned a victory in my heart. Okay, so here, again, we're doing the same thing. We're going to play Fairy or Floral, and we're going to try to play Fairy or Floral, and we're going to, you know, try to get a nice secure position. Now, I will always pivot whenever there's strong Pokemon in the lobby, such like Bellybolt, for example. I always play towards the strong comp if I have to, but I won't do that unless I have to, or at least try to beat the strong comps. Now, first thing I noticed here, going into this game, is, well, what I usually do in the beginning of the game is I check my region, I check other people's regions, I check the components. I do the same thing I usually do, you know, check everyone, scout everyone real quick. I'm not going to do that again because we did that for game 1, or I explained that game 1. But here, so I know I have the normal region, so I take the normal item. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. I take the normal item. I'm keeping all these normal units. Now, I hate Artificial Carousel, because Artificial Carousel means that you're going to be down money. And since I'm going to be down money, it's hard to roll early on, especially since I don't have any triples and I've whiffed, basically. But I do hit the roll, and I get rewarded with a low punny here. This unit is going to be the bee's knees when it comes down to, like, holding down the early game right now, especially with the Silk Scarf. Now, again, I'm keeping these components, like, they're all, if you notice my components, they look like bricks. Like, nothing crafts into anything. But that's great, because that's like exactly what I explained earlier, where if everything crafts into nothing, then that means that you have a lot of things that you can do later, but like not now, obviously. So right now I'm getting rolled, and I see this, and this is the first fight I fight, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna get round 2'd, because this board looks insane, and everyone else has pretty high elo, and I saw that this game's gonna be a difficult game. So I thought that this was going to be a really tough spot to come out from, especially because I have a spoon component already. And I don't like spoon components because, you know, it's a P, not AD. So AD is doing way better in this meta. But I do pick up the normal unit here, and I do pick up a max revive here. Help me unbreak a little bit more. And I decide to craft a Razor Claw right now. The reason I decided to craft Razor Claw is because that's the least bricky crit item. It pairs with almost everything else in terms of crits. It pairs with Loaded Dice, Razor Fang, like, Reaper Cloth, like everything, right? It's a crit enabler. I consider it like, you know, like pretty much like one of the least bricky crit items. So I go straight into Razor Claw and I just slam it up down because I need to start doing something. I'm gonna be super behind in health, especially because this is already Carousel. So we start playing through a little bit. We do win that fight, luckily, even though he has a Rocky Helmet. Some people are playing Open Fort, like down there, so that's also good for us. And someone added in Skitty, and I actually hit into Skitty here. And I'm like, wow. Very Normal is looking really nice right about now. So this looks like a, you know, like I can get into Fairy Normal. Let's just play directly like that. So I tailor towards Fairy, Normal, and Fighting. I don't really want the Fighting, but I want the Fairy Normal. And so, for those that don't know how Portal Generation works, it always selects 4 traits that you have. Or, if you don't have 4 traits, then it'll select a random one between the ones you don't have. So that's why it'll select 2 Normal, 1 Fighting, 1 Fairy. Unless it's something like Floral or Light. For some reason, if you have level 1 Light, it doesn't count, and it actually does not select it. So you actually have to have like Floral 2 or Floral 4. Floral 4 counts as Floral 1, basically, if you think about it like that. I don't know why. Or like Floral level 1. I don't know why in terms of Portal Generation, but like that's just how it works. It's really stupid. It's unintuitive mechanic, and I hate Portal Generation, but that's so. So what happens here is I take the Fairy Portal, right? I take the Fairy Portal. I run straight towards it. Now, I hit Milcery, okay? And I don't know if anyone knows about Milcery. This unit averages a 4.5 average, which means it's very bad. And in hindsight, maybe I could have taken Lapras and played like Sound, because I do have some Sound units, but I end up picking up the Milcery. And now, this is the closest I am to getting eliminated, basically. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm not used to Milcery. I'm so cooked. I played it maybe once in Amorphous. I've won with it once in Amorphous. But I know this is very normal. Like, how am I supposed to play Milcery? So we'll see how I, like... And especially with this, like, electric player in the lobby, it's gonna cook me. So I actually give the Milcery the vanilla flavor, which allows it to decorate an ally and give it shield. And the vanilla flavor is nutty. I didn't even know vanilla flavor existed. I don't play Milcery all that often, so I didn't know about this. But this is like the first time I used this like line, and it was amazing. It was incredible. So I know Milcery is really good, or Alchemy is really good as an AP unit. So I'm thinking about getting an AP item, but I know I need to finish off my sets. I scout everybody before I pick the charcoal. I scout everybody because I want to make sure that you know, like I'm not adding them this ghost unit and I'm about to lose. The only person playing ghost is the person in last place, and I figured that, like, you know, if I'm gonna help somebody, I'm gonna help the person in last place. That makes the most sense. Like, he's probably gonna be the one struggling most anyway. So, yeah. So now, really quickly, going to these fights, I noticed something. I noticed Milcery's ability is low-key nutty on this version. Like, this caramel swirl of Milcery is giving like the Skitty like so much shield. And then I see my Silk Scarf, and I'm like, what if I had Rocky Helmet, Max Revive, and Silk Scarf on the same unit, and Milcery is upgrading it? That'd be amazing. So I try to set that up. Like, so I'm looking for that setup where I can put all 3 items on the same unit. Obviously, I can't do it yet because I have the Lopunny with the items, and I want to keep the Lopunny for a little bit. I'm playing normal Fairy, so just buy Fairy units, buy normal units, keep the bench, you know, loaded as possible, give yourself as many options as possible. Pretty intuitive stuff. I usually decide whether to level or roll based off of the people around me. So, or level, roll, or do nothing. I mean, if I think I could beat somebody or I have to beat somebody, then I'll roll to beat them. But if I think it's too much resource or too many resources, then I won't roll or do anything. And also typically I roll only if I can hit like 2 or more units. I don't roll for 1 unit typically, unless I'm playing like a really specific comp like Togepi Ghost. But most comps cannot roll for 1 unit and get away with it. So in this case, I'm not gonna roll, and I do take the level here because I do think that getting the additional unit will help me beat this player. So that's why I do that. And so we do beat this player. Again, that's why it's important to scout your opponent so that you can see lines like that. Now, I do think I hit the roll here, just because I have some pairs, and I'm in a spot where I do need to like take a win here, because I just won my last match. Now I do make a mistake here, because being low on time, I didn't realize that if I moved the items from Lopunny to Athena, I'd have the setup I wanted with the Silk Scarf already, like, you know, ready to go, with the you know, Alchemy healing the right unit. I picked the Pokénomicon for my Whismur because it burns everybody, and this is a common strategy in Fairy Normal, or just normal in general, where you just have the Whismur burning everything while you have a giant shield installed for time until the burn damage kills everybody. So I know about that motif, so I played for that pattern. Now, I do like realize like I have the setup ready, so I do the setup. Now, one thing I didn't know about Milcery is that it needs to be next to the ally in order to buff it. So I end up mispositioning later, and you see me correcting it later, but right now, the position is correct. Like, it is right next to the unit I want to buff, which is the Hatena, and watch this fight. Just, like, watch this fight. It's crazy. So, the Hatena gets the shield, and gets so much shield, right? And then she gets even more shield. And look at her shield. This is crazy, right? And then I was like, wow, I'm cooking. I might actually win this lobby, or, like, I might actually top 4. Because look at my position. I'm currently bottom lobby, you know, like bottom 3, and I thought I was going to get cooked. But then I see this fight, and this gives me so much hope that my strategy was going to work with the Alcremie and with the setup. Because this Hatena, she just solos the entire board. With like all her shield, with all the shield Alcremie gave her, with the Silk Scarf bonus from the extra, you know, 50% more shield. And so I was like, dang, I can definitely make it out of this lobby. We just have to like lock in and get a good T20. So, I'm trying to build more AD items and AP for the Alcremie, but AD on my carry. So I need like something to go with this Charcoal and this Razor Claw for, you know, a final carry. And again, watch this fight again. Like this Alcremie is doing the bonus shield, and it is going, you know, absolutely crazy, right? So, yeah, so I barely scrape out like out of using a really weird comp. I barely scrape out of this lobby. I hit Zacian, which I think is pretty much the best unit I can hit here. And I put the items on, and this is a weird decision here. I decide to flip this Aqua into something else, because there's a lot of components that I can hit right now. And there's 2 components I hit that are really bad. But which is Fossil, and this Black Glasses, because I already have a Razor Claw. But if I hit any other component, like, it's gonna be a, you know, like, maybe it's, and also Spoon's pretty bad. But if I hit any other component, it's gonna be really good. Like, even Magnet, second Charcoal, Seed even is good. So I'm thinking about, like, I just want, like something else here to, like, pair. Like, this I don't like this mana item. I really want, and I'm in a, not, like, a great spots. I'm taking the risk. I take more risks in dangerous spots than in secure spots, because I think I'm in a bad, you know, like, mid spot. Like, I'm like top 4 right now technically, but like my comp is like very interesting. I've never played something like this before, so I'm taking you know, a risk on the item. I do hit the red orb, which is rewarded for the risky play here, but it's unlikely again. Like, I took a really risky line. Now, I also misposition here. I actually should put the Alcremie continuing next to the Zacian. It ended up working out in this fight, so I don't really think about it too much. But, like, I get punished on the next fight. But this fight, I don't get punished. And you can see the Alcremie Zacian combo is going wild. Like, the Zacian has infinite shield, you know, like, pretty much. And it's just, like, killing everything. And I was thinking to myself, am I actually gonna, like, scrape by with this really bad, like, you know, unit? Like, Alcremie? What? Because, again, I've only played it one time in Amorphous. But you can see in this fight here, I get, like, immediately punished. Because this person's positioned right next to me. And the Alcremie does not buff the Zacian. So keep, you know, like, if you gotta understand how abilities work. I think I would have won this fight if it started buffing the Zacian, because you can see how close this fight ended up being. So, yeah, a bit stupid on my part. This carousel, I want to complete my set, and I want to have more 80 items. I really want this X-ray for my AD, but I don't end up picking it up. So I do end up picking up the specs for the Alcremie. I don't reposition the Zacian because I'm stupid. I don't realize it because I'm a little bit, stressed out, and I didn't really think about it too much. But the Zacian needs to be moved closer now. Look how bad it is without the Zacian being buffed. Like, this Loudred being buffed is a complete grief. It just does not do anything. So I lose this fight too, I think, for the same reason I lost last fight. I didn't group up my units position correctly. Thankfully, I didn't get eliminated this tournament, and I realized the positioning error now, so I moved the Zacian closer. And I'm like, oh my god, please, I'm so stupid for that first, type of, earlier positioning. But now, I get the right synergy, I get the right setup, and Alcremie buffs Zacian, and then he gets a trillion shield. And I think I do win this fight because of it. Yeah, so I get the right setup, and I barely, I take the win off this guy. And that's pretty much it. I think the game ends up being pretty smooth from here. One person gets eliminated here, and then I make the top 4. And at this point, I'm just like, get me out. Let's go on to game number 3. Let's be honest. This was one of those games where I had to deal with an uncomfortable situation. I made do with, my own adaptation, and I made do with how I understand the game and game mechanics. And I knew that I had to build into a normal fairy board and Porygon and to be able to win the game. And I took a risk, to find this red orb that I needed to win this game when I had, had to. And I, kept my composure and played towards good items, right? Decent mana set, really good defensive set, really good offensive set, and played the Loudred for the mid-game burn, Loudred Pokenomicon normal combo, right? So I used patterns that I recognized to, carry me through the game. So that was a really, I felt good after that one. I felt like, wow, I can adapt, I can do, I can do pretty much anything, right? So we'll go on to game number 3 here. Alright, so we're going to move on to game number 4 here. And I actually am really familiar with the players in this lobby. These are typically a lot of players I play against commonly, like Maz, Monk. So I know the style they play. For example, Maz likes to play a lot of Amorphous and a lot of really strong type of setups, whereas Monk likes to play a lot more high roll, very playing for first place type of setups. But they will also play stuff like Ghost and more secure comps too. So I'm looking they're probably gonna play potentially Ghost, Maz potentially Amorphous, potentially a couple of comps that are more unorthodox but very creative and very strong. So I follow my component thing again. First pick is pretty obvious here, and I think we could skip through a little bit. I do a quick scan of everybody's items and everybody's units. Now, again, I'm going to follow my game plan. We're going to try to play one of the comps that I want, I think that are very strong, and we're going to try to keep the good components. So we're probably going to pick Black Glasses here, yep. First carousel is Egg, and in this meta, you never take Egg. So nobody takes it. Actually, one person takes it, but I don't think it's correct to take the Egg. It's just way too weak in this meta, because there's some traits that are way too weak, and if you want to pivot into that, like Dark, you're gonna get run over. Now, decision point. Do I roll for units here, or do I, don't roll for units? I often like to roll on this stage because the common rate is really high. And I do have some pairs, so I decided to roll for units just because I have some pairs. The common rate's pretty high, and if I get one of the bugs, it'll be really strong, make my board look much stronger. So I do hit the bug here, and I'm very happy about that because, the bug's good. And I'm on a good region too, because I have the Cleffer region. So I'm gonna keep all my bench super freaking greedy as possible here. I checked the speed on the unit because I'm not familiar which unit had better speed, or attack stat to put the Razor Claw on. I ended up putting on the Bug because I realized that it's better than the Flaffy, so I put the Flaffy as the frontliner so the Bug can do some damage. I think I take this win here, which is pretty important with a one item slam. Again, the less items you have to slam, the better, because then you get better components. You know, you have to greed your selection later. And notice how I don't sell my bench here. I can make econ, but I like my bench. I do not want to sell it. So we're gonna just sack econ just to keep this bench. And I get immediately rewarded for that play because I get a lampent. And that lampent, you know, allows me to have a stronger board here. So you pick it up and drop the unit in. In the beginning, if you're a newer player, you probably don't understand this concept because I didn't understand it. But basically, just put a bunch of upgraded units on the board, have strong board, and you'll be strong. That's just how it works. And just the trade-off is make sure you don't slam too many items, but slam just enough items so that you keep your combinations. So right now, I have a really strong crit set. You know, Razor Fang, Razor Claw. I'm gonna slam it. And this will allow me to maybe take some wins in this early game here. So I play off the light spot here. You know, I play off the upgraded units I have, the light 2, bug 2, and then we'll see if we can take some wins in this early game. I do scout a little bit, I think, and then and just to see if I can beat these boards. And I do not need to, like, what I usually do at this stage is, since we're on, like, you know, cruising mode, I just have to make sure I beat all the other boards. What I typically do is when I get really lazy, I scout the boards 1, 2, 3, 4, like the high HP boards, and then in this case I scouted everybody's board, just to make sure I beat everybody. That way I can keep my lead and maintain my win streak. Now, typically win streaking is better than lose streaking by a very large margin. You get a lot more money, you get a lot more life, you save a lot more resources, you let yourself have so many more options. But everyone's gonna play the win streak. So it's almost a prisoner's dilemma. And only one person can be the top of the lobby. Well, actually technically 2 people, because sometimes they don't fight each other. Only 2 people can be the top of the lobby. So you gotta make sure you're at least in the top 2 in terms of strength. Now, in this spot, my board looks, like, you know, nasty. I think I'm in, like, the top position right now. So I play like I'm in the top position. I try to, you know, keep this lead. I try to, like, make sure I don't lose to anybody. And it's okay to sack econ. It's okay to keep a greedy bench. Okay to do all this stuff just to maintain your lead. It's completely okay. So I'm keeping, like, you know, this greedy bench. I'm keeping, like, my options open. I'm keeping the win streak, right? And I'm holding these baby units, not because I really care about the babies, but in case I want to play Fairy, because these crit items are great with Fairy. And if Fairy light, potentially, because I have a lot of light units, I'm considering a light angle here. Or, like, leaning into it a little bit more. Now, this component is weird. I have a bunch of bricks. I decided to take up another brick, because, you know, it's good. And before I take up this brick, I scan the lobby to see if anyone's angling onto Floral, because I know that Floral is a very popular pick. And if, you know, a lot of people are angling onto Floral, I'm always gonna pick this anyway, but I won't need this Floral unit, so, like, it's very annoying, like, for me. And that lag scared me a little bit. I thought I was gonna have to, like, tab out. But I didn't end up having Jets. That's good. And here, you know, we continue to keep the greedy bench. I'm ready to sell in case I lose, so I can hit the income or the economy breakpoint. But it looks like another win potentially here, unless this Togepi goes infinite, which it shouldn't. So yeah, so we take another win, and I hit these units, and I'm like, man, Fairy Normal is looking very good right about now. Especially because I took an earlier Fairy Normal win. Maybe I can take another Fairy Normal win. Very easy to play comp, very strong comp, especially with, you know, the units I have right now. So I lock it in. I lock on normal units, and then I try to generate a Fairy Portal, and I try to get it. And so we get to this carousel, and I want that Fairy Portal, but it's across the map. Both of them across the map. And so I dart towards it, don't get it, and I'm thinking to myself, dang, I'm just gonna take this normal portal and hope I get something decent. You know, like what else do I do? So I think I go into it. It has a ghost thing too, which I can bail out with Ghost. Ghost is a pretty good bailout comp. I hit this, and I'm like, wow. Miltank. Bruh. I'm going 8th. I'm thinking about it still. So my normal setup is really strong. But as Alva likes to put it, you put the fries in the bag and click the strongest units. So I picked Illumise and Delamise. And now the game plan has completely shifted. My new game plan is to play towards these electric light ad picks that people put in. I'm pretty sure there was like a Chimchow that someone added, and maybe I can get like a Heliolisk and I can play electric light endgame. But for now, I'm gonna play Bug. I'm very used to this line. I played this line before on ladder. It's a very strong line. It's the reason why I don't like when people say we should buff Bug, because I think Bug is oppressive if you play it right. Oppressive. And here I'll show you why in this game. Because I'm lobby leading. I have Temple and I have the strongest 2 bugs in the game. Like, you know, Illumise, Delamise. And I will like, you know, like it's very hard to beat this board right now. And it's gonna continue to be very hard to beat my board. I do make a mistake here. I do pick up the Jigglypuff. I do not need the Jigglypuff in my comp anymore. Not after I already gave up on the normal synergy. But yeah, so at this point, I'm considering just like, you know, kind of like a vertical bug angle until I can get to the point where I can transition to like a better comp. So we're playing light bug for a little bit. I keep all the bugs, and then this carousel. I think my thought process is I'm trying to just build towards completing like my set for this unit down here. And the thing is, I pick up the spoon component, and the reason I pick up the spoon component is because the other components left do not lend me towards an offensive item. And if I pick up the spoon component, this is like pretty awesome on a Xerneas. These items are gonna be pretty awesome on a Xerneas, which I can play off my light off of, or a Zapdos. Again, I can go angle towards the electric synergy, because electric and light have a lot of cross synergy. So this is my end game, or what's gonna be my end game. I have this item holder, and I'm just gonna play vertical light bug for a little bit. I scout everybody. I make sure I'm the strongest board, and since we're one streaking the lobby, we just gotta make sure we're strongest board all the time. And we're continuing to 100 streak the lobby. This is looking very much like a water L type of stomp game. I love these type of games because it's just like very easy for me to like have so many options. I'll have so much money. So I'm just gonna make sure I maintain. I scout the board I'm fighting against and make sure I maintain a more powerful board than they have, basically. That's just the game plan from here. So we continue to do that, and I hold all, I already noticed the Chimchow earlier in the ad picks, so I'm planning on pivoting to it. I'm going to hold on to it on my bench. So we're just going to fast forward a little bit here. Not a lot of decision making to have. I don't really get to choose anything in this. I do not want the Artificial Carousel because I'm winning, and typically if you're winning, you get punished for Artie Carousel because there's going to be a lot of shitty items left for you. Like, I pick up the Macho Brace over the 2 Berserk Genes, because at least Macho Brace is like 15 attack. That's almost like a Red Orb. So it's like, a Red Orb is like, I guess, good enough in electric. So I pick it up. But yeah, like I'm just stuck with the garbage item, unfortunately. And I'm still trying to streak the lobby. This person's playing Toja Ghost, so I think they end up beating me because this has a really good matchup than what I'm doing right now. But it's alright. Because our plan, again, is going to be really strong endgame. Once I get the electric light endgame, it should beat Toja Ghost, right? That's my plan. So I'm going to be, I'm super, like, I'm going to win streak this lobby, I'm going to dominate, I'm going to take, I'm going to win against all these ghost boards that I counter, no problem, right? So we play this vertical bug, like, I get up to bug 6 even, I play light 4, and now I go straight up to light 6, like, just straight up, and then I'm trying to put electric units in. Now, I make the critical mistake of not putting Electric 5 in. I'm trying to find Electric 5, I try to put it in, but I run out of time. And this is, like, the key part about this game, that, like, even I make mistakes, and even, like anyone can make a mistake like this. You have to know what you're gonna do, prime your brain before hard turns. Because if you do not know what you're doing, even add it to the team planner, like, for what units you're looking for. Like, maybe even click, before this turn, maybe I should click every electric unit and add it to the team planner. Because the problem is, when you get to this turn, you run out of time, you're stressed, and then you don't make the turn in time. And I don't make the turn in time. I don't, and then I'm just, like, sitting here, thinking to myself, I'm going eighth. Because who's going to generate an electric portal? Nobody is. All these ghost players are not generating electric portals. I'm not going to get an electric portal. I might get a light portal and bail out, but, like, that's not what I want. And I see the electric portal. It's next to a ghost portal. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going eighth. Even though I'm first place in the lobby, I'm one streaking. I might have to just scrape by with a top 4. And then Maz picks up my portal. And I'm thinking, shoot the computer. You know, I'm thinking I am going, like, I'm not going to get a legendary. And now suddenly my great position looks like it's going 8th. And I look at these picks, and I'm just thinking, bro, what'd I even pick here? None of these units go well for items. None of them. So I'm just like, in hindsight, maybe it was just like a Petra run angle, and maybe I just try to play Gourmet and then bail out with like a Petra run steal their units angle. But what I end up doing is I pick Manaphy. And because I picked Manaphy is because we're going to try to pivot into Amorphous right now really fast. It's not a great plan, but it is the plan we got. Because I thought Manaphy was maybe the best option I have right now. So I click on the Amorphous tab, I try to add as many Amorphous units in as possible, and I try to do anything. Again, having some plan is better than having no plan. Especially because I'm in such a position where I'm like one streak in the lobby, maybe I can get into Amorphous in time before I get punished. So I started losing the next fights, like back to back. I started losing like crazy because I don't have a board. I don't have anything to work with. And I'm just trying, like, you know, frantically to get Amorphous in, Amorphous 5, anything, you know, anything right now. Just to stabilize myself. And when I talked about the quote earlier from Sun Tzu, you know, like, you have to know yourself before you know your opponent. Well, I don't know myself right now, so I have to focus on my own board. I can't really scout because I can't really know my opponent, right? Because it's not going to happen. I have to just figure out my own board first. So I do as much as I can to, like, you know, build an Amorphous board. You can see I built a lot of synergies in my board. I tried my best here. I really did. But yeah, because I couldn't really, like, play to scout and play against my opponent's boards, this is where I couldn't really be, like, much stronger. And I drop so many places in the lobby. Like, now I'm second place from being 100 streaking to just missing my portal and going straight to second, about to get knocked out, but I still have 2 lives, and I see everybody's on 1 hit. And this is where, you know, I just need to, like, be strong enough to win this next fight, and that's it. That's all I need to do, is win this next fight. Get the Amorphous 7 in, maybe not even win, maybe just, like, be strong enough to not die in this next fight. That's it. That's all I need to do. So I built this board, and this is basically my final stand. Right, and I'm against Toja Ghost, the villain of the whole, you know, the arc, and I'm just like, I don't know if I beat this. I don't know if I beat this. And so we're very close. We almost beat the Toja Ghost. He's got perfect mana cast items, and we lose. But we top 4'd. And so this is a good example of a game where I'm stuck in unfamiliar territory. But I made do with what my lead, and I made do, you know, like, with what I know, and I came up with a plan despite the fact that I got griefed. You know, I did not get a portal, I didn't even know, like, I didn't even get, like, to do anything, and I managed to get to this position. So, and I got Artie Carousel, which trolled me, but I got 3rd place. I scraped by with, you know, semi-decent looking Amorphous board. But obviously the Ghost Toja Kiss and the normal Fairy 7 with an Arceus hit is much stronger than me. So we're going to move on to the next game here. Alright, we're moving on to the semifinals here. And now I know that we're going to start getting the big dogs. We're starting getting the people that have really high consistency. And we're going to have to come out on top, right? Big Boss saying so many great players in this room, and there are simply everyone here is fantastic, right? We have Thomas Wing, we have Big Wef, we have Nexo, Improvise, like all these players I'm very used to playing against. So I know their styles, I know what I want, I know they know my style, they know what I want. So we're gonna have to pull up the stops here. Now, doesn't mean we have to change our game plan. We're still going to look to play Floral and Fairy and all these confident, you know, good comps. We just got to make sure we, you know, play around what everyone else is playing and, you know, know ourselves, know our enemies, right? Continue the strategy. So I'm gonna skip through the beginning because you guys should by now know how I play it. I keep greedy benches, I check everyone's boards, I see whether I can top board, whether our components suck, and I'm thinking to myself, with these components, like, you know, you can take this exercise for yourself. Do you think my components will win fights or will lose fights? And that's right, this will lose fights in this meta. So, especially with the no upgraded units. So what do? I play Open Fort. That's right. I take out the 2 units and I go 20 econ. And then I just play these 2 units only. I save the Ghost. Because my plan is to play Ghost Togepi. Because it's one of the only Open Fort plans, especially with these components, that I can actually play off of. And so, over here, I hit the Magby. And I'm like, yes! Salvation! Because Magby has a really strong cast. Really strong. And I'm an AP player. I know how to use Magby. I have Payday on the side, but I don't have a Delphox to play off of it with. I didn't know about the Payday. If I knew I had Payday, I could have rolled for Delphox earlier. So I craft my AP, my AP items. Slam. Bang. And I'm just like, okay, I'm an AP player. I put the items on. Maybe I can take some wins with this cheesy strat. Bang. Right? And then I do take the win. I'm like, yes! I can save some life while playing this weird Open Fort, like, you know, garbage. And then all I gotta do is high roll to crit, and I see the Sceptile, and I'm probably losing to it, so... but yeah, like, even in a bad scenario, know what you can do. I scouted everybody earlier, and I saw my components, and I realized, yeah, like, knowing myself, I cannot win with these components. So I have to play to lose streak. Or at least to reduce damage taken, so I can get to a point where I can swing back the board. Now I'm looking for a triple crit set here. You know, Reaper, Razor, and Scope Lens. And I'm gonna play Strongest Board still. Don't, you know, deviate that from that. You still want to play Strongest Board, even when you're lose streaking, because your Strongest Board will at least mitigate you damage. The only difference is that you want to make sure to keep your econ up instead of lowering your econ just to beat people. You don't have to lower your econ just to beat people because you're lose streaking. And so, yeah, and I'm scared of losing Gyarados, so I take the triple on the Infernape. Because I actually am, like, really weak, and I'm actually scared of losing Gyarados. You can see how close this fight is, even with the Infernape. And it's a shiny lobby, and I hit these components, and I'm like, okay, well, Fossil freaking sucks against Toja Ghost. I also scouted the lobby earlier, and I saw that many people were hate crafting me. Many people. We were crafting, like, safety goggles, like, X-ray. Well, actually, we were crafting, like, a bunch of X-rays. Like, we were ready for anti-Toja Ghost. And I was like, damn, am I really gonna get eliminated here? Now? Like, I'm this far? Like, that's not, like, no. Like, this is not the way I go out. Okay? And you know what? I hit Gimme Goal here. And I'm like, oh my god. Gimme Goal, Dynamax banned. I might have just gotten bailed out. Because I was cooked. I was gonna go AF. Like, I like, straight up. Like, this was a lobby where I have the terrible components. I have to play Toja Ghost because like, there's no other comp I can play with these AP components. Maybe Sidekick. But, like, I didn't hit, you know, like, it's very unreliable. If you have to play, like, an AP comp, like, Sidekick is playable sometimes, but only if you hit, like, really good unique. But there's just very few of them that are very good. So, in this, you know, if you have to play AP, this is pretty much Toja Ghost is the most reliable comp. And I hit the Gimme Goal. And I'm just, like, thinking to myself, I can actually, like, you know, if I play this Gimme Goal correctly, I will definitely be able to come back. And I got really lucky with this fight. I did not position, like, around this Absol, like, on purpose, but the positioning went perfectly in my favor here. Perfectly. And then I get, you know, I finally complete my set. I get the crit item, and I know how to play Toja Ghost. The way you play Toja Ghost is, since we're playing for a 1 rare, you roll for it. And in order to roll for it, you need to hold all other rare units on your bench, or as many rare units as possible, to thin the pool out. So I'm holding this Trevenant, I'm holding this Lucario, this, you know, all these, like, this Abra, all this stuff, like, these rare units on the bench, and I'm rolling down for the unit I need, right? I'm holding all these, like, rare units. And I'm trying to get as many Ghost units and as many, Togepi's as possible, basically. Again, thinning out the rare pool is very important here, so I'm making sure to thin out the pool. and for a second I don't hit the Togepi yet, so I have to keep the Magby for now. And he's gonna be my little carry for a little bit until I hit the Togepi. I decide to take some more rolls here because I can resell down to Econ still. And actually, Gimme Goal is giving me closer to more Econ. I didn't account for the Gimme Goals to Econ, so I should have even I should have not rolled down. It was a slight mistake. I missed the 1 gold worth of Econ. Because I would have hit the 50 gold threshold. And here, I think I roll a little bit even during this carousel, like here, because I know that it's important to roll now because everyone else is thinking about their components. I'm thinking about rolling, but the thing is, what's it called? I have to pick my component too, so I stopped rolling for a little bit so I can navigate. And now I continue to start rolling again after I pick up my component. No longer have to think about my component. Just have to keep rolling. Hit that. You need to get Togepi. I need Togepi. I can't play without it. And I hit 2, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's good. That's something. And then we have to upgrade it. The small version is way too weak to play the strat. And I hit the Ditto, and I'm pretty sure I just Ditto it because in terms of Econ, it's just really efficient to just get get it out of the way, get your strong unit, and stop rolling, and just play the Econ. And I get this Green Orb. I picked up the Ice for this Green Orb Dynamax Band combination. It's better than Max Revive, because Max Revive doesn't really work with it. But now I have this Gimme Goal, which can make up all my Econ back, and I'm digging for fun, because maybe I get a gem or something. And, now, all this Hatecraft, safety goggles, all this X-rays, all this Hatecraft looks silly. Because now, my Golden Go is healing trillions of health. It's got the Dynamax Band. I bailed, this shiny lobby bailed me out. It's looking like, the freaking antagonist here is gonna maybe escape the lobby. I'm the antagonist. I'm playing the comp that everybody hates, and everybody's targeting me. And and it looks like I'm beating the safety goggles, and it looks like I'm maybe gonna actually make it out of this lobby. Again, look at this. Let me check the quick scan here. There's only so much hate you can beat, right? Look at what I have to deal with in this lobby. Okay, everyone hates me or hates my comp. So, and we're all I'm getting massively targeted, but I have the best setup for it. And I have this philosophy, okay? Oftentimes the strongest board will beat the comp that hates you. This is my philosophy when I played Psychic too. A lot of people played Ice, and Ice can beat Psychic a lot of times, or Dark. But the thing is, Psychic will beat it when Psychic has a better board and a better setup. And this is the same thing with Togego's. I have a better setup. I have gold, I have Green Orb Gimmighoul. I have perfect crit spell Togepi. I have Green Orb Dynamax Man Gimmighoul. I'm gonna out-econ everybody. I'm gonna have a strong board because my board's gonna have higher quality units because I have so much more money than everybody. And I can keep farming off people every single fight. Farm all this money. And even if they have all this stupid hate, it's not gonna be enough. And that's what I'm playing towards. I'm playing towards the fact that I can have a stronger board despite the hate boards. Sometimes I play to, counter people, but in this case, I'm playing for my strongest board. You have to understand the game plan that you're going for at all times. And sometimes your game plan doesn't work, but with enough experience, you understand whether your game plan will work or not. And if you check some of these boards, all these boards here, there's a lot of boards that craft the hate items. So yeah, we're gonna move on a little bit here. Let's fast forward a little bit here. So this board is one of the ones that didn't craft the hate item, but it's an AP based comp. I do beat it though. And then I'm scanning, and my point here is I want to decide whether or not to play Ghost 8 or to play Ghost 6. And I'm thinking it's a Ghost 8 angle. I mean, if it's Ghost 6, look at all this hate items. Let me slow down here for a little bit and show you guys how much I have to play around. So I'm looking at this. He's not ready to commit his stuff yet, so this is fine. But this is a crit spell set, so I can probably beat that later. And then this board has Flame Orb, Dice, X-Ray, X-Ray on the top board, massive attacks down the unit, and an X-Ray on the second board, or the third board here. Sorry, massive attack, stat. And also on the second board, we have another, we have a safety goggles, right? So a lot of players are playing very aggressively, like, to position into beating me. But, you know, my position is great because I've been W streaking from this point, like, ever since I got to Gimme Goal, I started W streaking. But I know now that I cannot play towards a Ghost 6 endgame because there's like 3 X-rays in the lobby. I'm not gonna out the X-rays by the time you know, we get to the endgame. So I need to get to level 9. To get to Ghost 8, you need level 9 with this comp. Because you need Togepi still, but you need to get to level 9 to get Ghost 8 in. So because of that, I deviate. Normally sometimes I roll here to get Togekiss, but in this case I deviate and I play towards level 8 Ghost because I scouted everybody's items. So let's see you know, how I played through here. So see, I get up to Ghost 6 and I hold my money. I want to evolve Go now. This is when I'm gonna evolve Go. He's gonna be my endgame carry. That's gonna help me, you know, like, basically stabilize through some of these boards that counter me. And I'm playing against one of the boards that counter me right now. So you're gonna see, like, it's very annoying, still. But because I have the Dynamax and because my setup is so strong, I think I end up beating it anyway. So he has heat items, but I end up beating it anyway. Because, and here's, again, about the philosophy from earlier. Strongest board sometimes doesn't beat, or like, sorry, hate sometimes doesn't beat the strongest setup from the strongest comps. And that's what happened here. Is my setup is so strong in this mid game. He might beat me end game, but this mid game, I'm taking over. I'm taking control, and that's all I need. That's the window I need to, like, try to, like, out this lobby to get me out. But you see, I get another hate board. This is the guy, Red Orb, X-Ray, Dice on the freaking Darmanitan. He beats me up. This is the first guy who's beaten me ever since stage 11, and, like, you know, now it's like I drew blood. It's like, dang, I could actually, like, lose to some of these hate boards later, especially if their setup gets stronger like that. But I finally hit the Golden Go, and I get the level up, and because I know I'm playing for, you know, Ghost 8, I'm saving all this money. Here, because I'm stuck with the Darkstone, I decided to pick up a Darkrai. I was thinking about Marshadow, because Marshadow is the strongest unit here, standalone, and it helps you beat the like, you know, some of the wild board and, like, some of the stuff because I'm stealing their stats. But I do take up the Darkrai here because I think the Dark 3 is relevant. And maybe I can pick up a Reaper Claw or something for the Darkrai. And so I do pick up the Darkrai, because I don't want to be stuck with a brick, basically. It's not a great unit, but again, like, I'm just playing for my Ghost 8 win condition here. And I do hit the Ghost 8, and so first fight, the Ghost 8 goes, you know, kind of crazy. You can see that he's trying to play light, but he doesn't have enough light. So, because he doesn't have light 4, the Zapdos dies to the Ghost 8 curse, and I take the win off this fight. And that was, you know, felt really good. And then the next fight, same thing. He has 3 items on his carry. None of them are safety goggles, and even though he's an AP comp, I kill his carry using Ghost 8 curse, and I take this fight too. And that's the powerful part about Ghost. You can play Ghost and pivot a lot. I love Fluttermane because I play Fluttermane, I play Fairy, I play Ghost, I play, like, back to Fairy, back to Ghost, back to Fairy. Masterclass. People have, like, such a hard time dealing with you because you're playing so, like, a different comp basically every time. You're playing Ghost, and you can go Fluttermane Ghost 8, you can play Fluttermane Fairy 8, you can go Fluttermane Fairy Normal. Like, it's disgusting. And then so I'm like stabilized out, and I'm gonna top the lobby. Like, and at this point, even though all these people crafted hate comps into me, basically, like a lot of people crafted hate stuff, I end up, you know, like, scraping by, and I also end up beating this other Ghost board. And then, yeah, what's it called? Sorry about that, the audio too, the audio thing. I do talk a little bit during the in-game, so that was me talking about something. I had my audio muted most of the time, or my mic muted, but I did make a mistake somewhere there, so I talked about the mistake there. But yeah, so now, I think it's pretty clear that I'm making a top 4. I do make a top 4, and we can move on to the next game by now. I'll let it fast forward to see how the game finishes. I'm pretty sure Thomas takes the lobby from me because of his hate items from earlier. Yeah, I do actually scam against this dragon board, and then Thomas takes it from me with his, because he prepared all these, like, hate items from earlier. But I do take a second place. And, a second place from that position, from the beginning position where I was lose streaking, in a type of lobby like this with strong players, very difficult. And I got extremely lucky. See, I have 100 gold, I have 337 gold, and that's the power of playing for your strong board sometimes. That's the power of playing for your strong board, and sometimes, I have such a strong ghost setup. I have such a strong ghost setup, and, yeah, I take, sometimes, you just have to play for your setups. You can't just, play to counterplay. And that's one of those times where I decided, to play my comp despite all this hate. And we're going to move on, and I scouted for the hate, too. And I tried to, play in a way that's pragmatic to maybe out the lobby before they got to scale up their powerful comps. That beat me, basically. Okay, so we are finally at finals, and I know everybody here, basically. I'm used to playing all these players. These are great players. And so, I decide, I was thinking about whether to change up my game plan. Maybe play for a more risky strategy. Maybe, aim for one, because I need to get first place. I decided not to change my game plan. I'm going to take the Floral Portal, like I usually would, and then I'm going to, see as the game goes on how it goes. I barely scraped by that last game, so I was really, a bit nervous going into this game. But, again, one of the things I think that's really important about competitive gaming is locking in despite your nerves and eliminating all the distractions. So that's why I'm not talking. I usually stream when I talk. I will not commentate during this. I have to see everything, and I'm clicking everybody's, scouting everybody's board again, like I usually do, looking at all their components, looking at all this stuff, and then I'm come back to my board, and then I want to see if people are, what people are angling towards, and what, they're not angling towards anything in the beginning, but I want to see what components they have, so I can maybe beat them later, basically, or to see if they have a strong component start. And I think I'll do that again really quickly later. Here, I'm thinking I'd make a max revive, and I have 2 glasses, so I can maybe make a crit set if I get 2 items that work with crit set. And I do not want to keep digging. I dug the first round, but digging units are bad. They have very low tempo. The ground units have very low tempo. Even these babies have better tempo than the ground units, because they are fairy. So, I'm keeping this Muro pair, and I'm keeping the Charmander pair. Stronger pairs. Stronger units. And I don't need to dig. Who cares? Even keeping the bug, I threw out the Pikachu, because I'd rather have the strong board. I do get the ground guys back, so I think I do pick that up. Here I really want the magnet, but I don't get it, because I don't want their black glasses. I don't want to do double Wonder Box, what? So I read for it, but I don't get it. And then I'm sitting here thinking to myself, shoot, I got, a Graveler, which is not a great unit. But I have a max revive, so maybe I can start winning fights, and maybe I do slam the Wonder Box later, and I take the fight win. So I do roll here, because I think maybe I can play for strong board. That's the default plan, is strong board, right? Default is strong board, weak board is your backup, right? So I have decent components. Maybe I can, maybe I should slam Wonder Box. I do slam the Wonder Box here. I do have a decent setup. Maybe I take a fight win. I see Big Wef is angling ground, and he has a really strong ground, Mammoth Swine, Pillow Swine early setup with these items. It, these are the items that you want in ground. I, do not like ground, though, as a synergy, because I think it's very inflexible. If you run into, something like Belly Bolt in the lobby, you will get cooked. I sell off my board here, or my bench here, because I don't have a lot of pairs, so there's no point in holding them. I usually hold them if they're pairs. And so I do hit these 2 pairs, but they're not triples. And my items are getting really awkward right about now, because none of these components, craft a high MMR item. I think I do pick up the heart component, so maybe complete a Rocky Helmet Max Revive set later. Because that's a real, set. If you don't know the sets, I think there's a couple of sets to memorize. I might make a cheat sheet at some point for newer players, but I'm not going to explain them because this, not the purpose of this video. It's more of a thought process breakdown, VOD review type of video here. And I'm gonna. So here, Maz taking open fort, which is good. We take the win here, which is good. And again, I'm playing for win streak here. I keep all these babies on the in my bar, and things aren't going actually my way. I actually scout everybody, and I notice even though I'm playing for win streak, everybody is playing for win streak, and they all have strong boards. These are people that have made it to finals. They have really good intuition, and they have really good experience building strong boards. So what do? I have to take the victory I have to take first place in order to take the tournament. So what I do is I notice this Toxel in my shop, and you know what I do is I sell. I realize I already lost that last fight, and a lot of other boards are stronger than me. So I actually prepare to sell out my board, or my bench here, full of these powerful pairs like this floral pair. I prepare to sell out my bench. Obviously, if I win this fight, I don't even know if I'm going to win a fight or not, because whether I win a fight or not is based off this Wonder Box RNG. So I'm over here thinking to myself, RNGs, just take the wheel. I'm in finals, and I'm taking the ultimate risk here. We're playing Wonder Box, we're holding babies. I want to take the victory here. I'm keeping these floral units still, because I still have technically 3 floral units. Maybe I can take the safe line. But after I hit this next baby, I have 4 babies at this point. I've played Baby 7 before. I'm comfortable in it. Now, I know it's not a top-tier strategy. It's not really consistent. But I know I could take the win with a high variance strategy like this. Especially because I'm a pretty comfortable player on Baby 7. So I do hold on to the babies. And I do, I think I dump here. I think I dump to keep the babies on this this loss here. And I see that Thomas is in a good position. He's win streaking, he's top of lobby, and that's scary. Because I'm Thomas is probably the biggest threat here, of the people. He's already won a tournament before. He's a very comfortable player. He knows how to he knows all this stuff. He knows his way around Pokemon auto chess. So anyway, I'm still confident in my own strategy. So I'm going into babies. I put the babies in. And I try to take this portal here. I see the portal shares a floral, so I'm scared because I don't want someone taking it for the floral. But luckily I get it, and I hit Mantine. And I think a lot of you have watched finals before, so I think I'm gonna skim through and just highlight some of my thought processes as much as possible here. So first thing is I don't have Baby 7 yet. If I had Baby 7, I would try to level. Second thing is I want to be strong enough to take out as many units as possible, so I put the box on the Mantine. Even though you're playing Baby 7, you still need to save life. So your goal is to be as strong as possible. Next thing is after Baby 7, my goal is to play either Dragon or Water, right? Because Dragon or Water are the next adjacent comps next to Mantine. So Dragon, Water, Dragon 5, Water 6, Dragon 7, Water 6, that type of stuff. Right now, I take Baby 5 in, and a decently strong board, normal babies right now, just to maybe take out some units, and if I lose the fight, I get Econ. I'm scouting everybody's board, I want to see what everyone's playing, I scout everyone's uniques, I want to see what everyone's playing, and yeah, so, so we get to this point. Now at this point, I have to make a decision. Do I take the ultimate risk and double level and search here for the last baby? I only need 1 left, and the risk is worth it. So I do take it. I level and take the risk, and I roll and hope I hit a baby. I do hit it, and then I'm thinking, yes, we're Baby 7, and you can see Thomas immediately scouts that out. We are sniffed out immediately, but we hit it, and so I put it in, and then I hope for the best. I have a Wonder Box, and you'll see later I craft the second Wonder Box. So I'm literally saying, RNG, take the wheel. if you're gonna, if I have a lot of strong players, I'm gonna let luck decide like my play. And granted, I am comfortable in Baby 7. I'm very comfortable. On this first like fight here, I do take the loss, which is super nice, and I get the Ilkonega on the first try. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, this might be the run? Like, I'm thinking to myself, and I get the specs because no one wants the spoon component. And I'm like, this actually might be the run. And I hit the Pelipper too, or like the Wingull on my shop. Everything is lining up. The stars are aligning for a Water Elf victory at the moment. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, I'm getting like excited like at the moment, like, but I'm like obviously still trying to keep my composure here. I gotta make sure I lock in still. We haven't won yet. So I'm just trying to make strongest board every turn from now on. Strongest board every turn. But I have to keep the babies because I know that with the first turn egg here, which is super lucky because I can actually summon or I can unlock the shiny item during the PvE round. Okay, so that's really important motif to know. Is if you get this lucky first turn egg, you have to keep 5 babies at least all the time, just in case you want to first turn the egg hatch. Because baby 5 lets it hatch 1 turn earlier. Yes, I hit the Seadra here. Very lucky also. I just decided to Wonder Box it immediately. I want to start tempoing. I don't want to lose as much life. Even, it looks like you're going to lose anyway. Why not just lose more? But the thing is, don't fall into that mindset. Do not get baited. You need to save life. You need to be strong as possible. Don't get baited. And so I'm trying to be as strong as possible. I have the specs ready for my endgame water unit carry. I don't want to commit it to Mantine yet, just because I don't like have it upgraded, so it's not going to be even that much more damage or like that much stronger. So yeah, and then we're just holding onto it just in case. And I do hit the thing here, the Remoraid, but knowing that I only have a couple babies, I do not evolve the Mantike yet. I keep baby 5 in, but now I commit the specs because I'm scared of losing to Mew and Mewtwo. What a way to throw the game if I were to lose to the Mew and Mewtwo right now. I am comfortable playing Psychic boards, so I know that this probably beats them. I don't know for sure if this beats them. What if my units group up and I lose? What if the Wonder Boxes give me bad items? Like, you know, like there could be like a bunch of things that can go wrong here. But I take the risk, and it pays off. I beat them really handily. I have plenty of units and plenty of items still alive. You know, well, units with items still alive. And so I freeze the Wingull again, freeze the Dragon, and I hatch my egg on the first turn. And I get this Eviolite. Eviolite works fantastic on the Seadra, and I slap it on immediately. I evolve my Mantike immediately, and now it looks like it's over. Like from at least like, you know, like from a spectator point of view, like all I have to do now is play strong board and make sure I lock in. So I make the strongest board I can for this turn. Water 6, Flying 4, Dragon 3. Obviously Dragon 5 is much better than Dragon 3, but we're gonna, and I have a Max Revive potentially coming up. I don't want to craft commit it yet, just because the Carousel is coming up, and I don't like I don't what's it called? I wanted to like wait a little bit. But then in hindsight, or like not hindsight, like after the round, I realized, wait, I should just craft Max Revive, because right now I have Eviolite. Like, why would I not slam my item? I'm like second last in the lobby, but I will come back. And like, who cares? Like, who cares what, like, if I get an item here? Like, Max Revive is a great item for my my build. So I do just slam the Max Revive here, and I do think the decision to slam it is correct. But I for a second I hesitated. So in this carousel, not looking for much in particular. I just want AP items for my stuff, so I pick up the spoon. And now I'm happy. It's pretty smooth sailing. And I actually unmute my mic here when I dig up this Dragon Gem. I start like, this is the Dragon Gem of, like, you know, of all time. Like, this is the run. I pick up a Dragon Gem here. This I got so excited like after this, because I know I can hit like a Dragon 5 Water 9 board off this Dragon Gem. So I play for Dragon 5 Water 6 here, generating the portals I need potentially to, you know, win this game out. And and I think the game just plays itself from this point. So like, I guess the key decision-making points is I took the risks early on, and I navigated through the early game like I usually do. I always do. And here is like really important note is you got to make sure like you know if you're winning or losing the boards. And I noticed I was not winning the boards, so I played in a practical way where I can come back, and I did. Hit the Dragon Portal here, getting a Giratina. And what I do is I play into Dragon 5 Water 6 for a little bit, because I realized that, you know, like if I can't get to Dragon 7, and this is probably the strongest way to play off my Eviolite. So I do that. I roll because so one thing that newer players might not understand is when to roll or when to level to 9. You roll most of the time, pretty much all the time. The only way you level to 9 is if you have a comp that needs to level 9, like a Morphus or Ghost 8 Togepi, that needs level 9 to fit the units in. But other than that, you just always roll on this turn, or like always roll on this stage, like these stages. So the reason for that is because if someone else rolls but you don't roll, then you're just gonna be so behind in tempo compared to them. Anyway, so we can. I think from here it's pretty smooth sailing. We basically all we have to do is maintain. Like, I went from bottom lobby to second place, second highest health, just only behind Windstreaker Thomas Wang here. And my bench is greedy as humanly possible, basically at this point. I hit Dragon Knight, and you know, I have a really greedy bench. I'm deciding whether or not to keep the Horsey in case I want to like potentially move items or potentially like put like a dragon in when I level up. I do this. I've torn here, but I do decide to triple the Horsey and hold on to it. Maybe if I level and I want to put it in. There's and then here, I'm sorry. I do end up talking a little bit in the audio here. But here, I think like I've locked out the game. Like from this point, like it looked like there's no one who was going to be able to stop my board. Everyone's board is actually rather weak, and the reason they're rather weak is because Thomas Wang, when he was win streaking, actually kept the lobby weaker. Because basically, like, you know, when you're win streaking, everyone else is poor. But because I was playing water, I got the econ. I was playing baby, I got this econ, you know, like, and I got to like kind of cheese away from the win streak like pattern, or like, you know, being behind the win streaker. And the thing is, like, so like, the thing is, I had mentioned this earlier, but you always want to leave yourself with open options, and you always want to like basically assess whether your plan plays well into other people's plans. And in this case, I felt like I could not be like winning basically unless I played a lose streak, like a catch up type of strategy. Now on this final board, I hit the last Water Stone from like, you know, paying off Curry, and then. You know, the check was in the mail, and then like Curry was like, oh, you know, like he sent me this Water Stone, and I'm Water 9, and I cap out with this board, and then I am ready to cap out even harder because I have, you know, I'm ready to fish up this Octillery. I'm ready to load up on Sobbles, get Inteleon, and I have lots of money, and I'm top, and I have life to work with, so I'm ready. You know, I'm just gonna hold out for a little bit. Why? Like sometimes I like to keep this philosophy. Sometimes it's good to just do nothing when no one's giving you a question or no one's posing a threat. And then when someone poses a threat, then you do something. In this case, no one's posing a threat, so why do anything? I'm winning the lobby already. Why touch a board that's winning? Why not wait until I have to react to somebody's thing? And then suddenly I win the lobby, the game, just like this. And I was like, oh, that's it? Like, I could have capped my board out even harder? Like, and my board goes higher than this. And then yeah, I was really excited. And so that's how I took my first win on my third tournament in Pokemon Auto Chess, despite getting eliminated to round 1 in the other 2 tournaments I played in. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. There was a lot of yapping. There's a lot of... I'm not experienced making like this type of content, but I hope it was instructional for a lot of people. And if you enjoy, this type of content, my stream on Twitch, and also another thing is if you have any questions on like stuff, you can post it in the comments or DM me on Discord. I'm very open to answer questions and like help people out. I'm also thinking about making guides for the game. I have an a diversify guide I posted, and there's a couple of calculation stuff I did to prepare for the tournament. I calculated like different damage items combinations to figure out which are the best. And I can make like a little like cheat sheet if this video gets enough support maybe. I can make a little cheat sheet and post it for item combinations I think are very powerful together, AD or AP. And I'm pretty comfortable with both because I played a lot of AP before, and now I'm playing into AD meta. Alright, I'm going to actually do a little bit of an outro for those that didn't want to watch the entire video and want to get the key tips, the fast TLDR. The first key tip from the gameplay is I kept my options open. All the time I kept my options open. When picking components, I picked components that led me towards the most optionality. I always held components that would give me more options whenever I could. Sometimes I made mistakes on that. And I always kept a greedy bench. Sometimes even sacrificing economy just to have a greedier bench so I can have more options. I always, another thing is I always look at every opponent, know whether or not I'm win streaking or lose streaking the lobby. Know I'm weaker or stronger, right? If I'm stronger, I play towards that win streak. If I'm losing, I have to play towards a way I can swing back the board. I look at everyone's components and I see if my components beat their components. If I don't, then I have to play towards the lose streak, and I have to play towards a catch-up based comp. I have to understand what comps like to do what, right? And what comps beat what. And what items beat what comps, and then that type of stuff. So again, that like Sun Tzu tip, knowing your opponent and knowing yourself, but you have to know yourself before you know your opponent. What I would recommend for new players to focus on your own board, focus on your own strategy, and try to build your strongest board. Because remember that one Ghost Torture Tick game, I played for my strongest board, and I ended up topping the lobby top 2, even though a bunch of people played against my board. And the reason for that is because I knew myself better than everybody else knew that comp. Everyone thought like you can just craft Dexter and just beat it, but it's not so simple. I can out-heal the X-Ray players if I set up a strong enough position. Now you saw that Thomas Wayne crafted Dexter and he beat my board, because his board setup is able to beat it, because he ends up with an artificial steel setup that's very strong. You need to have a really strong board to out the amount of money I'm about to have, because I'm playing for like 100 gold over everybody else. I have a strong, high quality board that will probably beat them anyway. So yeah, those I think those are the main tips that I want to give to everybody starting out the game. And if you if you need help or need to understand what units are good and whatnot, I recommend looking at the metadata and asking the community, because they'll always be willing to help, I think. Alright, now this is the actual outro. Good night, everybody. Or good morning, I guess, depending on what time you watch this video. It's nighttime for me right now, recording.